There is a knowing that lives in the hands before it reaches the mouth. It arrives before language, before proof, before anyone else has turned to look. When you have Lilith in the third house, she is pointing at that knowing. She is pointing at the moment you first tried to speak what you saw and learned in the silence that followed that your way of knowing was not a way the world recognized, and the choice to finally trust what your hands have always understood has always been yours. Before the shame of being misunderstood was placed upon you like a stone, there was only a moment, the moment you saw something true and tried to say it, not with the right words, not with the language they expected, but with everything you had, the only tongue available to something that small, that young, that certain. And the laughter came, or the silence, or the patient, devastating correction that taught you, without meaning to, that what lived inside you did not translate. You don't make sense. That's not how it works. Where did you even get that from? And so the knowing learned to stay where it was, deep in the hands, deep in the soil of the body, nowhere near the mouth. Some bodies answer by sealing the knowing entirely. They become the one who defers, who watches the pattern emerge and waits for someone more articulate, more credentialed, more certain than they have ever been allowed to feel, to name what they already saw first. They learn to offer their perception as a question rather than a truth, to end every sentence slightly upward, to preface every knowing with, "I might be wrong, but," as though the apology might soften the blow of being misunderstood again. Other bodies answer with the opposite incantation. They speak without ceasing, filling every silence before it can hollow them out, pouring words into every room they enter like water into a cracked vessel. Not because what pours out is the true thing, but because somewhere beneath the flood, something is still searching for the sentence that will finally make them understood. I see it. I have always seen it. Why can no one else see what I see? Two different spells cast over the same wound. One buries the knowing so deep it forgets it was ever there. The other broadcasts endlessly, reaching for a language that keeps arriving just slightly beside the truth it was always trying to name. A body that learned, long before it had words for the knowing, that perception was not the problem, expression was. And somewhere in that gap, between what was seen and what could never quite be said, the verdict was written. Perhaps I am not as knowing as I thought. Perhaps I was never smart enough to trust myself at all. This is the mountain when Lilith stands in the third house. Not that you lack a voice, not that you have nothing worth saying. Something older and quieter than either. The belief carved into the body before memory began that the distance between what you know and what you can make others understand is proof of your own inadequacy. If I were truly knowing, I would know how to say it. If I were truly intelligent, they would have understood. The failure to translate must mean the knowing itself was never real. And so the mind, ever faithful to the wound, built its altar here too. Laid the perception upon the stone, offered the inner knowing as tribute, in exchange for the safer, smaller comfort of borrowing someone else's certainty. If I defer to what they see, I will never again have to survive the shame of being wrong in public. This is the shadow, not because your knowing was ever false, but because somewhere in the marrow of you, trust in your own sight stopped feeling like wisdom and began feeling like a risk you could no longer afford to take. And here, exactly here, the initiation begins. Lilith does not come to teach you how to speak. She asks you to walk backward through the shame, through the laughter, through the correction, through every moment you offered your knowing to the world and watched it land without recognition, to the self that existed before it decided that the failure to be understood meant there was nothing worth understanding inside it. This is not punishment. This is a summoning to stop mistaking the world's inability to receive you for proof that you have nothing to give. A call to stop deferring your knowing to those who speak with more certainty than they have earned. And beneath all of it, a pull toward the truest freedom there is. Not speaking more fluently, not finding the perfect words. Trusting what lives in the hands before it has to become language at all. The choice to stop looking away. The choice to see what Lilith has been pointing toward all along. You can keep sealing the knowing beneath silence and deference. You can keep reaching for words that arrive just slightly beside the truth. Or you can return to what was always there, deeper than language, older than the shame, rooted in the body like something that was never going to stop growing, no matter how many times it was told it had it wrong. The knowing in the hands, the truth in the soil, the perception that was never the problem. But if you stay, if you choose to ask the questions that remake you, when did you first decide that the way you know things was not a way the world could understand? What did you bury or drown in noise the moment you learned that your truth did not yet have the language to protect itself? And what becomes possible if you finally trusted what your hands have always known before you ever asked permission to say it? Because Lilith has never demanded you speak more clearly. She has only ever asked one thing. Are you willing to trust what you have always been able to see? Because the moment you answer, your voice is no longer something you perform. It becomes the thing that was always growing toward the light.